Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says nation first is driving India's rise as a trusted global power. At the Republic Summit, Prime Minister says what it is doing will shape the future for next 1,000 years. 12 Indians among 13 killed in an explosion at a factory in Laffan industrial city in Qatar. India reaching out to render assistance to all affected families. US temporarily suspends sanctions on Iranian oil. Claims Tehran would allow nuclear weapons inspections. Trump says Hormuz is totally open. Technical talks continue this week. BRICS National Security Advisors meeting continues in New Delhi as National Security Advisor Ajit Doval meets counterparts on the sidelines, discusses West Asia and India-China ties. And in FIFA World Cup, Lionel Messi becomes all-time leading World Cup scorer. His double puts Argentina into round of 32. Egypt registers first World Cup win. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the Republic Summit. Addressing the gathering, the Prime Minister underscored that the spirit of nation first has been the guiding principle behind India's achievements over the past decade and its emergence as a trusted global power. He remarked that the decisions and actions being undertaken today are laying the foundation for the country's future over the coming years.
क्षणिक घटना पर उतावले होने वाले देश नहीं है। हम वो हैं जिसने विकास और विनाश देखा भी है, झेला भी है। हम वो देश हैं जिसके जहन में युगों की मेमोरी चिप लगी हुई है। हम युगों की मेमोरी चिप वाले नेशन है और इसलिए भारत जो कर रहा है, और ये मैं बहुत जिम्मेवारी के साथ कह रहा हूं, भारत जो कर रहा है वो आने वाले 1000 वर्ष का फ्यूचर लिखने वाला है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also said that issues like Maoist terrorism cannot be seen merely as headlines or television debates, adding that overcoming such challenges requires sustained effort.
आपके लिए ऑनलाइन न्यूज होगा या टीवी पे आधे घंटे डिबेट होगी कि माओवादी आतंकवाद खत्म हो गया। चीजें ऐसे नहीं होती हैं, उसके लिए खपना पड़ता है।
12 Indians were among 13 people killed in an explosion at a factory in Ras Laffan industrial city in Qatar. The explosion at the Barzan local gas supply facility at Ras Laffan industrial city, which is operated by Qatar Energy LNG, injured 66 people, including Indians. All injured are in stable condition and are receiving appropriate medical treatment. All those who got injured in the incident are in stable condition. The Indian Embassy in Doha is working in close contact with the Qatar authorities to extend all possible help to the Indian nationals and their families affected by this incident, including ensuring that mortal remains of the deceased are sent to India at the earliest. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, in a social media post on X, expressed deep sadness by the loss of lives and injuries, including of the Indian nationals, in the explosion at Qatar's Ras Laffan industrial city. He informed that the Indian Embassy continues to be in touch with Qatari authorities and is reaching out to render assistance to the families of Indian nationals affected by this tragedy. Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families. India will host the 16th BRICS National Security Advisors meeting from today. The meeting will be chaired by National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. During the meeting, the National Security Advisors and heads of delegation of BRICS member countries will exchange views on the theme Non-Traditional Security Challenges Confronting the World Today. They will discuss the rapidly evolving nature of national security challenges as well as the role of new technologies in emerging security threats. The national security advisors and heads of delegations will also review the outcomes of the recently held BRICS joint working groups on counter-terrorism and also on security in the use of information and communication technologies. On the sidelines of the BRICS NSA's meeting, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met his BRICS counterparts, including Chinese FM Wang Yi. The two sides reviewed recent developments in bilateral relations and noted progress towards gradual normalization. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval underlined that stable, predictable and constructive bilateral relations contribute to building of trust and better understanding between the two sides. The External Affairs Ministry has termed the discussions as constructive and forward-looking. NSA Doval also met Secretary of Multilateral and Political Affairs of Brazil, Carlos Cozende. Both sides welcomed the cooperation between India and Brazil under the BRICS framework and reviewed India-Brazil bilateral relations. He also met Minister in the Presidency of South Africa, Khumbudzo Nishaveni. This happened on the sidelines of the 16th BRICS NSA's meeting. Both sides discussed India-South Africa bilateral ties, including exploring specific areas of development cooperation between the two countries. Both the NSAs also exchanged views on ongoing regional and global developments. NSA Doval also met his Ethiopian counterpart, Milion Lema Tadise. Both sides explored areas of cooperation to enhance and deepen the India-Ethiopia strategic partnership. He also met Deputy Secretary for Defense Affairs of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, Ghadir Nizamipur. Both sides reviewed the ongoing situation in West Asia. They also discussed cooperation under the BRICS platform and India-Iran bilateral ties. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar on Monday held a series of high-level interactions aimed at further expanding bilateral cooperation between India and Mongolia during the ongoing official visit. He met Speaker of the State, Great Khural Sandag Byambatsog in Ulaanbaatar and welcomed his support for India-Mongolia parliamentary exchanges and friendship. Dr. S. Jaishankar reiterated the support to deepening people-centric development partnership. He also had a warm interaction with Minister of Education L. Enk Amagalan and former President N. Enkbar of Mongolia on Monday afternoon. Dr. S. Jaishankar said that he values their support for deepening our strategic partnership. He also met the chief abbot of Ganden Monastery of Mongolia. Dr. S. Jaishankar said that his blessings for deepening cultural ties and people-to-people goodwill between India and Mongolia are deeply cherished. He also called on Mongolian President Khurelsukh Ukhna and conveyed greetings from President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. External Affairs Minister said President Khurelsukh's visit to India last year had imparted strong momentum to the India-Mongolia strategic partnership. Dr. S. Jaishankar noted that he valued Mongolian President's guidance in advancing cooperation across diverse sectors, adding that both sides agree on the importance of spiritual friendship as the foundation of India-Mongolia ties. Earlier, the minister also met his Mongolian counterpart, Betsetseg Batmung, and reviewed progress in bilateral cooperation in development projects, capacity building, security and multilateral fora. The two leaders also discussed opportunities in mining, clean energy and agri-processing.
Really reviewed the entire gamut of our bilateral cooperation, including the development partnership, of which the oil refinery is the most important project. There is also an ICT center and a school and a number of quick impact projects. We spoke about capacity building, technology, economic and trade cooperation, supply chain cooperation, education, culture, defense, security, and energy. We had an exchange of views on more ideas, new opportunities, and preparing an agenda for the next level of our strategic partnership.
From Mongolia, the minister will travel to the Republic of Korea on Wednesday for the final leg of his two-day visit. Back home, at least 14 students died and several others were injured after a massive fire blazed through a coaching center operating in a three-storied building in Lucknow's Aliganj area on Monday. The blaze reportedly erupted inside the institute building and spread rapidly, trapping people inside. It was a shopping complex with coaching, game zone and showrooms in it. UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath visited Lucknow building fire site, hospital and interacted with victims. He also ordered a high-level probe into the fire incident. President Draupadi Murmu also expressed grief over the fire tragedy. In a post on X, the president said, and I quote her, "The news of the death of several people in the horrific fire accident that occurred in Lucknow is extremely sad. I express my heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families. I pray for the swift recovery of the injured." Prime Minister Narendra Modi also expressed anguish over the loss of lives in the tragedy. In a post on X, the Prime Minister said, and I quote him, "Anguished by the loss of lives in a fire mishap in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh. My condolences to the bereaved families. May the injured recover at the earliest. Rescue operations are underway and authorities are providing all possible assistance. An ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees from Prime Minister National Relief Fund will be given to the next of the kin of each deceased. The injured will be given rupees 50,000. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, 6 people wounded in Russian airstrikes across Ukraine. In Canada, a midday shooting in Montreal killed 3 people on Monday.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. The United States and Iran have achieved a major diplomatic breakthrough in Switzerland, establishing a 60-day roadmap towards a final peace deal. Both nations have agreed to a series of mutual concessions to de-escalate tensions in West Asia. Vice President J.D. Vance described the talks as having laid a very good foundation, adding that the teams had discussed the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and deconfliction for the regional ceasefire. Vance also said that Tehran had agreed to invite IAEA inspectors back to their country, calling it a major milestone and the first step in permanently denuclearizing Iran. Vance said Iranian assets had not yet been unfrozen as part of the deal.
We're working with our allies, from the Israelis to the Gulf Arabs, to make sure that sticks, and we feel very, very good about where that is. We have the Iranians allowing weapons inspectors, nuclear inspectors into their country for the first time in a long time. We're obviously going to bolster that inspection regime to make sure they can never have a nuclear weapon. And finally, we continue to make progress on these technical negotiations. We actually asked the Qataris to help us set up the mechanism so that we can ensure that the money goes where we want it to go. That money is not going to be unfrozen unless we continue to see progress. So that'll obviously be a big part of the negotiation in the days to come.
Iranian state media and negotiators have given mixed signals, emphasizing a policy of commitment for commitment. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismaili Baghaei listed the topics discussed as the establishment of a multi-party mechanism to end hostilities in Lebanon, Iran's oil and petrochemical exports, and the release of Iran's frozen assets. In response to the outcomes, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said on Monday that Iran has engaged in the negotiations with dignity and confidence without offering any concessions. Meanwhile, the United States has suspended sanctions on Iranian oil on Monday after Vice President J.D. Vance said that Iran would allow UN nuclear inspectors to return to the country. The U.S. Treasury Department on Monday issued a temporary 60-day general license authorizing the production, delivery and sale of Iranian origin oil and petroleum products through August 21. Iranian oil can even be imported directly into the U.S. under the sanctions relief. It unlocks banking transactions, insurance and transportation, and does away with the complex networks that Iran has previously used to sell crude. U.S. President Donald Trump warned Iran that he would do what I have to do if Tehran fails to honor its agreement with Washington. Speaking at the White House, Trump defended the interim U.S.-Iran deal and claimed funds being unfrozen for Iran would ultimately benefit American farmers through food purchases. His remarks came after Iranian officials pushed back on the claims that Tehran is obligated to buy agricultural products exclusively from the United States.
What I'm going to do, but it gets solved. I'm a problem solver. I get problems solved real fast, including with Bibi. As long as they respect us. I don't want to use the word fear, because that's an inappropriate word. But as long as they respect us, we're not going to have any trouble. We have total control of the strait.
So the mechanism.
You know, we have a Navy that had a blockade. I think the blockade was more impactful than dropping bombs, if you want to know the truth. It was like I said, they call it the steel wall. Nobody got through. Not one ship got through, able to go to Iran.
On his part, Oman's foreign minister said in a statement posted on X that he reaffirmed a commitment to international law and toll-free safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz in talks with Iranian negotiators. Foreign Minister Badr al-Buzaidi said that he had welcomed Iran's chief negotiator Mohammad Bakr Kalibaf and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in Muscat, and added that the Iran-US talks which had taken place were constructive. Let's get to the latest updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict. 6 people were wounded in Russian airstrikes across Ukraine, local authorities said, as the Ukrainian capital issued an air raid alert in the early hours of Tuesday and urged residents to seek shelter. In a social media post, Governor Ivan Fedorov said 2 people sought medical help after Russian forces struck the southeastern region of Zaporizhia, while in another drone attack on Ukraine's second-largest city of Kharkiv left 1 woman wounded. Earlier, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that Russia was preparing a massive attack as he seeks support from the Western allies for a peace deal, while also pushing for Ukraine's fast-track admission to the European Union. Meanwhile, a Ukrainian missile strike on the Russian city of Voronezh killed 5 people and injured several dozens on Monday, according to Regional Governor Alexander Guzev. Guzev said an industrial site located on the left bank of the Voronezh River suffered the most significant damage in the attack. Ukraine's military said that it had targeted a facility in Voronezh region involved in the production of electronic components used in missiles. According to the military, the strike was aimed at disrupting Russia's defense manufacturing capabilities. Ukraine may revise its offer to Russia of a ceasefire along the de facto front line if the United Nations Security Council fails to pass a resolution urging a full and unconditional end to the conflict. During a lengthy session of the UN Security Council, Ukraine's envoy to the UN, Andriy Melnik, said that Ukraine stands ready to engage in direct negotiations with Russia, noting that Ukraine had repeatedly urged the Security Council to adopt a resolution for a full and unconditional ceasefire.
Are feeling the dark breath of this war. Almost 40% of Russia's oil refineries have been damaged and no longer support its military campaign. Recent days have shown that even the air defense shield built around Moscow, reinforced by all the systems pulled from across Russia, is failing to protect its military targets. And that is just the beginning. Over the past 15 months, Ukraine has repeatedly called on the Security Council to adopt a resolution for a full and unconditional ceasefire. Unfortunately, Ukraine's outstretched hand has remained hanging in the air.
Meanwhile, Quebec's Premier Christine Frequet said that Montreal remains a safe city. Following the incident, she added that the government will take all necessary steps to ensure the city continues to stay safe.
Yes, Montreal is a safe city and we are putting everything in place to ensure it remains so. Of course, we are not immune to tragedies like the one we experienced and witnessed today, but safety remains. Montreal is still a safe city and will do everything, put everything in place to ensure it stays that way.
Let's get to updates from the world of sports now. We'll talk of FIFA World Cup first. Lionel Messi became the all-time leading goal scorer at the World Cup as Argentina beat Austria 2-0 in Dallas, confirming his side's place in the knockouts. After an unfathomable missed penalty early on, Messi lashed onto a Thiago Almada cutback to make tournament history with a first-time finish after half an hour. Ralph Rangnick's men struggled to qualify in the second half before a stoppage time break saw Messi have an effort blocked before he lugged home his 18th in the tournament history. In another match, Egypt beat New Zealand 3-1 to claim the nation's first ever World Cup win. Egypt were a goal down at half-time but turned the match on its head in the second half, with Mohamed Saleh contributing a goal and an assist. Having drawn with Belgium in their opening game, Egypt are top of Group G and would seal first place with a draw against Iran on Friday. Even a defeat would still most likely see Egypt make the knockout stages for the first time at the World Cup. Meanwhile, in a World Cup match that was delayed for over 2 hours because of thunder and lightning in Philadelphia area, it was France star Kylian Mbappe who made it rain while the game was being played. The France star scored twice, once before and once after the weather delay, as the 2018 World Cup champions cruised to an easy 3-0 win against an overmatched Iraq team. Once back on the field after halftime, it was more of the same for France, with Ousmane Dembele setting up Mbappe for his second before scoring France's third for his first World Cup goal. The result has France, who could return to Philadelphia to play Germany on July 4th, with 6 points from 2 games after beating Senegal 3-1 in their opener. Didier Deschamps' side is assured of a spot in the knockout rounds, but its group stage finale against Norway will likely decide who tops the group. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.